On a sun-baked hill between two lakes where the spirits of lost championships roam lies a circuit that will break even the strongest driver's heart. Hi, and welcome to Round 6 of the Missed Apex Formula 3 Challenge as we travel south of the equator to the roller coaster ride of Interlagos. From the savage Senate S's to the high-speed horrors of Ferradura, from the tire-melting curve of Do Sol to the impossibly off-camera Shankao, even the smallest of errors will be ruthlessly punished. To get us underway today, please give a warm welcome to your commentators Chris Stevens and Chris Catman Turner.
Interlagos has hosted many a thrilling title decider over the years. Today, it will host one more. Welcome to the finale. It's round 6 of season 6 of the Missed Apex iRacing F3 Cup. We have 22 points that separate the top 3 in the championship. My name is Chris Stevens, and alongside me for one last time this season, it's Chris Catman Turner. And Chris, doesn't it just feel right ending a season at Interlagos?
Absolutely, Chris. It is wonderful to be back at Interlagos. What a stunning circuit. It's just such a flowing track, wonderful corners, good overtaking opportunities. And you're right, it has seen a very rich history of title deciders. So I'm looking forward to seeing a great battle again here this evening.
Absolutely. Let's head trackside for the final 20 minutes of this free practice session. Danny Henny currently setting the benchmark time of a 1:26.399, but there is less than a tenth of a second that separates the top 3 at the moment, with Gregoire Gomez, who we're watching here in his traditional French flag liveried car, in second place, and our wildcard appearance for tonight, Bradley Philpott, in third place at the moment, currently 99 thousandths of a second away from that top time. If this is the first time you're joining us for this championship, this is the final 20 minutes of free practice. After this, we will go into a 10-minute open qualifying session, which will set the grid for the 18-lap feature race, and then we will have 2 top 20 reverse grid sprint races that are 12 laps each. And of course, this is the finale of the season. We have 3 classes to decide: the overall or platinum championship, the gold standings, and of course the silver class as well, for the 3 different class of drivers that we run in this championship, all running the Dallara F312 Formula 3 car. And this is the 3rd season with that car that we've been using in this championship after progressing from the Formula Renaults a few seasons ago. So if you weren't with us last time out, well, it was a crucial one for the championship, where Danny Henny was able to eke into championship leader Kyle Power's points advantage. But here's a quick little recap to get you up to speed. The penultimate round of the Missed Apex iRacing F3 Cup saw the championship close up even further between Kyle Power and Danny Henny. Danny Henny makes a very good start from pole position, and Gregoire Gomez challenging for second place already. Kyle Power up a couple of places as well. He's in 8th place. After scoring a second consecutive pole position, Henny once again dominated the feature race to take his 4th victory of the season, further eating into Power's points lead. Here comes Danny Henny through the final corner, absolutely dominated this feature race and takes his 4th victory of the season. Power struggled to match Henny's pace, scrapping for 5th on the final lap of the race. Power tight to the inside here, and I think he might just hang on to this 5th place. Henny again, though, had drama in the first reverse grid race, getting punted by Gregoire Gomez on the final lap. Here comes Henny now, trying to bag a few more valuable championship points. And remember, he was 30 points behind Kyle Power going into this penultimate round of the championship. After this is absolutely crucial time for the championship as Henny gets pushed. Henny gets pushed round. Here comes Scott Tuffy, a textbook victory in the sprint race. Absolutely dominant performance. It was the wildcard entry Scott Tuffy who took the win ahead of a very happy Spanners in second. Chaos ensued at the start of race 3 as a spin from pole sitter Andrew Sexton caused a pile-up that caught out Power. No, Sexton's gone for a spin, and that's caught out Luca Harrison, one of the contenders we were looking at for this one, and Kyle Power as well. Kyle Power, the championship leader, he's been caught out in that incident. But just a lap later, Henny had his own drama at turn 1. There's more drama down at turn 1, and Henny's been involved in a shunt there as well. We just see on the left-hand side. Both seemingly got away relatively unscathed, with Henny coming out ahead to reduce Power's lead to just 19 points. At the front of the field, though, it was the younger power, Luke, who rose through the field to take his second win of the season and put one hand on the silver class title. Let's take a quick look at the point standings as they stand, because of course the one drop round has been taken, and whatever you have now is what you take into this finale. There are no more drop scores. Everything is on the line tonight, and it is Kyle Power leading the platinum standings on 386 points, 19 points clear of Danny Henney in second place and 22 points ahead of Stephen Williams. Those are the three realistic contenders that we're looking at for the title tonight, although mathematically the top 11 overall are still in it. Of course, we have Alexander Dobsberger, Tim Ellis and Luca Harrison down in sixth place after being one of the key corners of this championship. Has fought for many wins but has been in one too many incidents to be a realistic title contender here tonight. Into the Gold Championship standings, we have Colin Ward leading by 29 points to Gregoire Gomez, who does still have a chance of taking that title because he has been very, very fast this week during free practice, but does go into this with a 10-place grid penalty, which he'll take in the first sprint race after getting involved in a few too many incidents, including tagging Danny Henney and spinning him round last time out at the Circuit of the Americas. A quick look at the silver standings, of course, as well. We have 4 contenders for that particular championship, but realistically we are looking at Luke Power in his first full season in the championship on 299 points, 51 clear of Taro Tylus. He only needs to outscore Taro Tylus by 21 points and Alex Smith by 22 to wrap up the title in the feature race. And overall, that, of course, means that Kyle Power leads the overall standings, but we have Luke Power, the silver class leader, in 7th place overall, and Colin Ward in the Gold Championship, 9th place overall, with his nearest rival, Gregoire Gomez, in the same class in 11th overall. So I believe we can hear from some of our title contenders. Chris, who have you found for us?
Yeah, so hopefully first up in the booth we have Stephen Williams, who is coming into the final round with in third place. And Stephen, it's fantastic to see a three-way fight in the final round. How are you rating your chances this evening?
Hi, Chris. Yeah, I'd say I'm definitely the outsider going into this. Definitely feel a bit like Raikkonen in 2007, just hoping to pick up the pieces and the 2 drivers ahead to not pick up many points.
Well, it worked out very well for him in the end, didn't it? But you're saying that consistency is key, and actually, hoping that some incidents help you. What's been your secret this year? Because you've definitely been able to pick up a lot of points just by being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think last race was my first podium for the season. So there's been a lot of 4th, 5th and 6th. Particularly in these sprint races, the reverse grids, just avoiding incidents. Been behind Danny Henney quite a lot of in his incidents, so picked up some pieces there, so just planning to do the same for this race as well.
Fantastic, and we're hoping that the waves part for you. Good luck for the rest of the evening.
Thanks guys, cheers.
Stephen Williams there going into this finale, 3rd in the point standings, and yeah, the outside shot, as he mentioned, just while Chris goes and grabs one of the other drivers, I can fill you in, because this season no wins to his name, 1 podium finish, but that consistency has really landed him in a great place in the championship. And Chris, I believe we can now speak with our championship leader, Kyle Power.
Absolutely. Hi, Kyle.
Hey guys.
Hi. It's so final night of the season. We've seen you put on some great moves this year. What's the best overtaking spots around this circuit, do you think?
Oh, blimey. Anywhere that I can. Probably it's turn 1 and turn 4. There isn't really many other places, really. Like, the infield's a huge risk. Obviously, in the opening laps, there's going to be some round the outside overtakes on the infield and stuff, but in general, I think turn 1 and turn 4 are going to be the place.
Absolutely. And what's the slipstreaming like around here? Is it something that will really help you out, or in qualifying, for example?
Oh, qualifying a slipstream would be really beneficial. But then when you're ahead of people in a race, you're going to be giving them a slipstream as well. So it's going to be tricky. I don't know if I've mentioned before, but I absolutely detest this track. It's an anti-Kyle track. I absolutely hate it, and there's nothing wrong with the track itself. It's just I'm crap at it, basically. So I'm not expecting to be too strong. So the theme of the championship's been kind of misfortune for Danny, really, and then little old me's come wobbling through and collected the points. So I don't want to wish bad on Danny. Like, he deserves to win it on merit, but I think I'm going to need some misfortune from Danny because it's so quick and it's so good. So we'll see what happens.
Well, as you said, you've got to get through the pack to make it. But one thing that could help you is the pit stop strategy in the first race. When are we expecting to see people in?
Well, you can get about 15 laps of fuel out of the tank, and I reckon anywhere between lap 10 and 15, pitting a bit earlier, you don't really get the benefit of the slight cooling of the tyres. So after about lap 10, the tyres are absolutely melting. So having that little pit stop and just that couple of sort of second solace on the tyres really, really helps. So you want to go far enough that you get that advantage of cooling the tyres off. So I reckon about between lap 10 and 15, I think, is where it'll happen.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that insight, and best of luck for the rest of the evening.
Nice one. Thanks, guys.
Kyle Power for the second year in a row, hoping to seal his first Mr. Apex iRacing F3 Cup title. One win for him, the feature race at Spartan, 6 podiums to his name this season, but as he kind of alluded to, not a great circuit for him, though he has won round here last season in the sprint race, but I think it's safe to say that looking at the stats and history of this circuit, it belongs to one man, and that is Danny Henney, who we can hear from now, Chris.
Yes, Danny Henney, who, as you said, has been rather dominant in these seasons, but it's pressure on in the final round here with 2 very hot contenders coming behind you, Danny. How do you rate your chances this evening?
I'd say it's 50-50 at the minute. I've been started with the mind games early today, trying to put them both off, so we'll see, but yeah, we'll give it a good go. It's a bit more difficult than I expected. Obviously, the last round I had the lead twice in that reverse grid and got it took away, so 19 points, although it seems quite small, it's a big gap to try and take out of someone like Kyle, but we'll give it a go.
Absolutely, and you alluded to, I think, some of the misfortune that you've had, racing through the pack might even be your Achilles heel this year. What's your strategy tonight to try and stay clean?
How dare you, Capman? None of them are my fault. Yeah, we'll try. We'll try and stay as clean as we can. I said to the lads, Kyle and Steve, just hopefully we all get a clean race and it can be decided on the track. But it's looking all right. The pace for myself anyway looks okay-ish. So I think Greg and Brad might have the overall pace on us, but they can scamper away, if I'm honest. As long as I've got a bit of a gap to Kyle and can get a couple of points back, I'll be happy. But I'm not going to be too down. I'm going to be really chuffed if Kyle does win it. So yeah, it's not going to be a bad night for me either way.
Absolutely fighting your teammate for the victory in the final race of the season. Kyle, this is one of his bogey tracks, but how do you feel about Interlagos?
Oh, I love it. It's a really, really good track, really technical. It looks quite simple, but the infields are really technical bit where you got to get on the right line. You've definitely got to brake earlier than you expect, but just all about low speed traction zones really. But yeah, it'd be good. You can get some mega battles. I had a really good battle with Brad last night, so it's difficult to pass, but yeah, I really enjoy it personally. I think it plays to my strengths, so hopefully it'll come good tonight.
Absolutely. And speaking of Brad, you have had some clashes before in the past. You've got to keep it clean with him tonight as well.
Well, yeah, he's already told me he's going to crash me out to old Kyle, so I really do hope that was in jest. But yeah, we'll give it a good go. Obviously, I'm expecting top 3. Well, I'd like to think on pace at the minute. The top 3 will probably be me, Greg and Brad, so what order, that depends on qualifying. But yeah, I'm going to have 2 quite aggressive drivers near me, what really I could do with being away from.
Well, whatever happens, thank you for a fantastic season of entertainment and racing. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. It's been great, and look forward to it, and wish Steve and Kyle the best.
Danny Henny there for the first time going into the finale, not in the lead of the championship. This is uncharted territory for the man who has won the last 3 titles that we have run in both the F3 Cup and the Formula Renault Challenge as well. Oh, and going for a little spin there into the Senna S. So that's not exactly boding well for qualifying, but we are in the last 5 minutes of practice, so hopefully that's not too bad an omen for him. Just a very quick hello to the live stream viewers. Thank you for joining us on this Saturday evening. We are live on the Mr. Apex Motorsport YouTube channel, so if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. Be sure to click the like button as well. It helps us out more than you could possibly know. And do be sure to join us tomorrow on the main Mr. Apex F1 channel for our regular live show. We will be discussing some F1 news, and of course on the audio show as well, our interview with Mark Preston, the former technical director of the Super Aguri team. Remember them all the way back in the mid-2000s, and of course went on to create one of the most successful Formula E teams in the series history as well. It is a great chat that Spanners had with him earlier in the week, and I do highly recommend that you listen to it after the show goes out tomorrow. Right, so before qualifying, let's take a closer look at this 4.3 kilometer Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. Our race director Richard Molden was kind enough to give us a racer's view of this track.
Welcome to the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache in Interlagos, Brazil. To give you a tour of the track, we're going to enjoy the first lap of a practice race on board with reigning champion Danny Henny, who starts in second place on the grid, dicing with Greg Gomez starting on pole. Lights out and away we go, heading down into turn 1, which is the hardest braking zone on the circuit and the best overtaking opportunity. We're braking as late as possible, and Danny's about to have a handful of oversteer on the cold tyres. Each driver respecting each other's lanes here, but you have to have a really good overlap to pull off the pass, otherwise the inside car in turn 2 will prevail as Greg does here. We're now leading up to the second overtaking opportunity on the track, the left-hander turn 4. You've got to be well in the other car's draft here and alongside to make it work, but Danny's a bit too far back to make a move. Track limits for this corner are really tight. Run wide and iRacing will give you an instant point, which both drivers get here. Get 12 of those in a race and you're going to be called into the pits for a penalty. Turn 5 is flat and we start to make our way up the hill. A dab of brakes and a gear down into 6 and 7, braking down to the second gear for corner 8. Don't get too greedy with your exit speed here. Keep it tight on the left-hand side as both drivers do. If you don't, you'll wash out with understeer and you'll lose a lot of time. Coming up to the really tight turn number 10. Cars racing in a pack early on in the race may see an opportunity to sneak through here, but be really careful that somebody doesn't turn into you if you try it. And now up the hill for Jung Kao. Track limits on the right here are very generous. You can go all the way onto the green painted curbing and even a little bit of the blue as Greg does here. But this is a tricky left-hander and very easy to take too much curb on the exit and skate down the hill in the grass. And now we finish with our climb up the hill to the start-finish line, taking the Formula 1 line that's going to cut the pit entry and complete a lap of this magnificent track. It's a short lap with very little time to relax. Look for the top drivers setting 86-second laps in the race. A classic track about to host a classic Missed Apex Championship finale. Enjoy the show, folks.
So Chris, final couple of minutes before qualifying starts, what are we going to be looking out for? Henny seems quick, he's had the last 2 pole positions, but Gomez seems to be putting in a real challenge here.
Absolutely, and the pressure is on Danny to keep it clean, as I was alluding to in some of those interviews. It really has been something that he's found quite difficult this year, particularly in races 2 and 3, fighting through the field. And we know that, as he was saying in this technical infield section, I think Kyle was saying that there's not much overtaking going on there, but desperation can set in, particularly in the final round of the season, Chris, and mistakes can happen.
And Danny's not had the best of runs in the finales in the past. He's got caught up in incidents. He's made mistakes in the past. I mean, I always remember the first F3 Cup finale where he spun in the middle of the S's at the Circuit of the Americas as well. Of course, had a contact with his title rival at this track during the Formula Renault Challenge finale some seasons ago as well. And factor in all that, and then we have a wildcard appearance in Bradley Philpott, who is very, very fast and eager to impress the Team M4M, who are watching on the live stream at the moment as well, along with some of the other drivers who couldn't make it tonight, unfortunately. But yeah, there's pressure coming from all angles.
Absolutely, and that pressure just makes you just tense up a little bit, and those key reactions that you're taking just slow down that little bit because you're tense not to make a mistake, and you're not driving naturally. And that's where these guys, when they're on the edge, have to be performing naturally. And if there's a lot of pressure, like in a title battle, particularly if there's somebody fast or someone you've had a previous accident with, chasing down, then maybe that's where you lose your edge and mistakes creep in again.
Certainly do. So checkered flag has gone out for this free practice session. It is Danny Henny's 1:26.399 that is the top time of the session in the end, and we will now go into a 10-minute open qualifying session. So if you haven't seen this before, it's not like the iRacing officials where you do your 2 laps by yourself, got the circuit all to yourself. As you will see, the cars all go out together, and that means we tend to get a little bit of gamesmanship here with slipstreams and various other tactics. So the pressure is on, and there's a lot of cars on what is quite a short track.
Absolutely, and one interesting thing I've noticed already, Chris, is that Danny Henny, who normally likes to be at the front of the field and leading the way, so he's not got anybody to get in his way, he's kind of mid-pack at the moment. So he's not been able to take that front of the queue position that he often likes. And you can see Kyle Power there in the green car with the black nose just ahead of him, and then there's Danny Henny in the bright red car with the yellow stripes down the side, both in the Venom Works teams. So we'll look out for those two as they go around the central part of the circuit here, this twisty infield section, all jostling for position. Chris, you can see them diving out of each other's way already.
Yeah, so Gregoire Gomez leads the queue of cars, just coming up to Zheng Xiao now, and a lot of talk about that Zheng Xiao corner, and I'm sure we'll see it on his flying lap, but he's been taking a much wider line than anybody else seems to be able to, and just able to carry that little bit extra speed into the final proper corner on this circuit. But we'll see how it unfolds now in the first flying laps of qualifying. Gregoire Gomez, second in the Gold Drivers' Championship, but with a real opportunity to make a mark in the overall positions here tonight. Into the center as he goes in that very familiar French tricolore liveried car.
It is absolutely beautiful car, that one. And as you were saying, the Junção corner there, they does seem to be able to take a much wider line on some of those kind of AstroTurf bobbly bits, and some of them are finding that very slippery and unable to replicate his line. So he's definitely got an advantage through there that will carry all the way down that start-finish straight. So not only good for qualifying, but for the race as well and for overtaking.
So far, Gomez, man, setting the pace in the first sector with the 22.3. No one else able to match that time at the moment. Tight to the inside of turn 9 there, coming up to Pico de Pato now. And then here we see as he goes through the left-hander of Maguglia, we'll see that super wide line he's able to take, which seems like iRacing doesn't really mind the track limit so much at this corner. But look, even onto the blue painted section there, super wide line for Gomez, and seems to be the only one who can make it work. But let's see what the times look like. Coming down the front straight now. Drive up towards the line in that number 24 car. Cutting across the pit entry line there, which you can do in this, not like in Formula 1. So Gomez comes across the line. It's a 26.9, which is the benchmark time at the moment. It's provisional pole position for the Frenchman at the moment. Tim Ellis, the closest challenger, but only by half a second. We'll yet to see the rest of the top contenders come over the line. But Kyle Power, it's not a fantastic opening lap for the championship leader. He is nearly 3/4 of a second off the pace. It's Danny Henny second by 0.4 of a second. So that is a pretty mighty opening lap from Gregoire Gomez.
That's a stunning benchmark, and that will put a lot of pressure on the rest of them, particularly Danny. You can see him down here coming down to Interlagos. He seems to have hooked that up quite nicely, but yeah, the pressure will be on for him because he'll see that target and know that he's 0.4 down. He's not used to being that far behind, so great lap there from Gregoire.
has the last 2 pole positions, does Danny Henny. But of course, the first pole position of the season went to Gregoire Gomez. He was absolutely dominating that feature race in Hockenheim before he had a PC meltdown that disconnected him from the race, and he feels like his championship challenge was over before it really even started. But he still has the shot at the Gold Drivers' Championship, and you can denote the class by the car number. It's the single digit for the platinum, double digit for the gold, and triple digit for the silver. With the exception of Brad Philpott, he has an invitational class number. Gomez lowers the benchmark even further to a 26.6. Let's see what Henny has got in his pocket. See if he can reduce the arrears. Power has reduced his lap time to a 27 flat, still 4 tenths away from Gomez's benchmark time, and Henny still only second. It's a quarter of a second now is the gap. And Alex Jones will move it up into 3rd place as well. Brad Philpott in 4th, Kyle Power 5th. So the top 2 in the championship still very close together. Stephen Williams down in 11th place at the moment. He had quite a nice initial lap time, but didn't seem to improve last time around. So we will keep an eye on that top 3 in the championship. There is Stephen Williams in that pink number 4 car. Of course, was a contender last season as well, but shamefully couldn't make the finale, and so never really got a chance to show us what he was made of, but he's got that opportunity tonight.
He has, and he's been the most consistent of our title contenders, so watch out for him. I think he could really pull something out of the bag this evening, particularly if the others get into trouble.
Gomez about to come across the line and put another lap time on the board. Here he is rounding that final couple of curves. And now I wonder, did he get an incident point on that last lap? I think he did. It was a 28.1. That lap time won't count, so the benchmark remains a 26.6. And remember the effect of overheating tyres that can have... some drivers have opted to take a cool down in some of the sessions that we have run. Still, Danny Henny cannot eat into Gomez's advantage. Now that is what Stephen Williams is made of. He's jumped up into 2nd place. The gap 0.174 of a second. The top 3 separated by a quarter of a second. That's Danny Henny in 3rd place still. Seems like no one can touch Gomez at the moment, Chris.
Absolutely, and that is a cracking lap from Stephen Williams to get himself up in there. I haven't seen that pace from him yet this evening. And as you go jump towards Kyle Power, what I've seen is you just got Alex Van Gien just behind him. He gave him a good slipstream down that back straight and then ducked out at the first corner. So we'll see if this lap is any better for Kyle. The Missed Apex panel there working together to get him up the grid.
Missed Apex panelist has never won the title before, it must be said. I think there might be some cries of bias if there were, but there certainly haven't been in the past. Of course, we do have other members of the panel here as well. Alex Van Gien, Spanners Ready, and Matt Trumpets, and of course Brad Philpott joining us for this one as well. Gomez still wasn't able to improve on that subsequent lap, a 10th off his benchmark time, so it's still the 26.6. That is the top time at the moment. And what can Stephen Williams or Danny Henny do about this? Only 2 and a bit minutes remain in this qualifying session, and it seems like the tyres have had their best. Is anyone going to do a cool run and then maybe push it for one more lap at the end of qualifying? Here's Danny Henny trying to sneak a little slipstream there down the Retroposta from Stephen Williams. So Williams has backed out of it. He's going for a cool down. Let's see if that makes any difference on his final lap. Less than 2 minutes remain in this session, and Henny's still pushing.
Absolutely, that is not the person who Williams wanted behind him getting that slipstream, that's for sure, because if Danny has got anything left in those tyres, you can see him right on the ragged edge in this qualifying session, using all of that curb and some more, which is great. Back end stepping out, you saw a couple of black number 11s behind him. He's really pushing here, Chris.
Yeah, back end of that car is snaking about all over the place. Maybe just a tad wide on the exit of turn 9 there. We see some lock-up smoke into Bico de Pato. Flat out through Magulio. Now just one real corner remaining. And there you can see the visual difference between the line that Gomez was taking all the way out in the blue, and Denny's not able to get anywhere near that at the moment. Gomez did improve just then, only by a few hundredths of a second, but that could make all the difference in the world. It's a 26.598 now. That is the benchmark time. What has Henny got? On board with him now as he comes across the line. And it doesn't look like it's an improvement still. No, not even in the 26s, that one. So Danny Henny's got one more opportunity here. And if his tyres overheating, he doesn't have time to cool them off. Gomez has pulled off to the side of the circuit, so that's everything he's got. He's got no more opportunities left. So all eyes on Danny Henny, who's now been demoted. Sorry, Chris, he's been demoted to 4th place now because Stephen Williams has popped in another banger, a 26.8, and Bradley Philpott up into 3rd place.
Absolutely, that is not what Danny Henny wanted to see. Stephen Williams on his final flying lap now in that pink car just behind Danny. And yeah, so we got title contenders separated here, which is definitely not what he would have wanted.
Here's Stephen Williams on his final flying lap. He chose to take that cool down. He might be able to improve his lap time because of it, and Henny seems to be still pushing an awful lot. On board with Stephen Williams through Magulio. Final times are coming in. The checkered flag is out for qualifying. This could be absolutely crucial for the championship. The feature race worth 60 points for the win, and it could have a massive impact in terms of the championship because as we see, the points leader Kyle Power down in 7th place at the moment behind his nephew Luke. Danny Henny's come across the line now and he doesn't improve. Or he does, but it's not enough for pole position. It's a 10th and a half off. He's 2nd at the moment. Stephen Williams didn't improve on that last run either. It is Gregoire Gomez who takes his 2nd pole position of the season. Actually gets to take his first win of the season so far. That astounds me. That really does astound me. But here is the grid for the final feature race of the season. It is Gregoire Gomez who will line up on pole position alongside the title contender Danny Henny on the front row of the grid. Stephen Williams 3rd in the championship, 3rd on the grid, ahead of the wildcard Bradley Philpott. On the 3rd row of the grid, it's Alex Stromsma and Luke Power, who is going for the Silver Class Championship. He has the opportunity to wrap that up in this feature race. Kyle Power, the championship leader, starts in 7th place ahead of Tara Tylus, Alexander Dobsberger, and Alex Smith completes the top 10. Then it is Tim Ellis and Alex Van Gien on the 6th row of the grid. Then we have Richard Spanners-Ready and Colin Ward on row 7. Luca Harrison and Daniel Cook on row 8. Jose O'Donnell and Matt Cook on row 9, Alexandros Marafkani and Andrew Sexton on the 10th row of the grid. Then comes Barry Kemp and Nick Alexander, Frick Smith, Adrian Clark, then John Cox and John Langen. Richard Molden in 27th place ahead of Lucas Raskovitz. That's a disappointing qualifying for him. He'll be looking for more in the gold standings. Peter Shilcock and Colton Myers on the 15th row of the grid. Then it's Matt Trumpet and Miguel Morland. Ryan Sedgwick, Brian Dudkowski, Stefan Froelich, Stephen Taylor and Trinidad Zavala complete a 37-car grid for this finale. Chris, we have a few seconds before lights go out. Any final thoughts?
I think it's going to be a fantastic evening's entertainment to watch, and the pressure of just sitting on the grid here before the lights go out must be quite telling for them. We'll see if this makes any difference to how they race each other.
Yeah, I will say I've never seen the grid formed up quite so quickly. All of them very eager beavers to get this final feature race underway. 18 laps await the drivers for this feature race. All 5 lights are on. It's lights out in Interlagos, and Danny Henny makes a very good start from the front row of the grid. He might just be able to draw alongside and challenge Gregoire Gomez into the first corner. Danny Henny in the red car on the inside. Watch out for the cold tyres, but Danny Henny is through. Danny Henny, hoping to make his mark on the championship, goes through into the lead at turn 1. How long can he hang on to it though? Because Gomez is going to have the slipstream down the Reta Aposta. It's going to be side by side down into turn 4. Once again between these two drivers. No love lost between these two. They have come to blows before, but for now they managed to hold it together, and it's Danny Henny who leads. Side by side once again on the exit of turn 5. Those Gomez managed to get the better exit, but Henny is able to chop the nose before they head into Ferradura for the first time. Bradley Philpott in 3rd place. He was able to jump Stephen Williams there off the line in that green and black Team M4M car. Kyle Power as well in the green number 2 car has been able to jump up a place as well. He is in 6th place. On board with Gomez, getting very close to the back of Henny's car. He got in trouble for that at the Circuit of the Americas when he hit him a little bit too hard and punted Henny round. He really does not want to do that again, and he's been caught napping a little bit, just lost a little bit of momentum because it's Philpott challenging him out of Zheng Xiao.
And that is what Danny Henny will want. He'll want Bradley Philpott to stick a nose in there, get Gomez looking backwards rather than forwards, because Gomez is right in the slipstream coming down the start-finish straight. He may not be close enough this time to have a go into the Senna S, but watch down the Retroposta.
Henny trying to break the toe as they head into the Senna S for the second time. So at the end of lap 1, Henny led by just 0.2 of a second to Gomez, Philpott, Williams, Jongsma, Kyle Power and Luke Power. Taro Tylers, Tim Ellis and Colin Ward was the top 10. But look at this top 3 now, trying to make a break for it. Henny tight to the inside once again down the Retroposta. He was able to hold off Gomez on the opening lap last time around. A very good run though for Gomez this time around. He's been able to draw alongside. He's got half his car length ahead of him. He's run off the circuit. Now will he be able to keep that place? That is definitely one of the places that race control is looking at track limits. If you gain an advantage there, you will have to give the place back or face a penalty. Henny holds on once more. Philpott trying to get involved in this as well.
Little lock break there, head from Danny Henny, and Philpott looked like he was going to stuff his nose on the inside, but thought better of it. That is a very difficult place to overtake during the Ferradura.
On board with Philpott through this infield section, and Gomez runs a little wide on the exit of Bico to Pato. Is that going to give Henny the momentum he needs to just break clear? Philpott going to try and make a move out of Zheng Xiao here. And Gomez looks a little wide again there. The mistake starting to creep in. That has allowed Henny to just stretch his advantage for about 3/4 of a second. Here comes Philpott now in the slipstream round these final few corners. Can't find a way through there, though. He'll have a look certainly into the Senna S. So he comes on the outside. Look at Stephen Williams as well, trying to make it 3 wide in the pink car. On the outside, Gomez on the inside there in the tricolor car. Philpott had to chop the nose of Williams there. Fantastic stuff. And Philpott round the outside. Can he make this stick? They're still side by side. Absolutely nothing separates these two as they round the Curva de Sol. And Gomez, once again, is just able to hang on to the place. All this is music to the ears of Danny Henny, who now leads by over a second. Philpott not finished with Gomez yet, though.
And Gomez did chop the nose again there of Bradley Philpott coming to the braking zone. He was quite brave there in case Brad was trying to maybe let it run a little bit wide and try to go around the outside. So that was very, very close. They're very, very close with their wings.
They are absolutely pushing it, judging it to perfection for now. Gomez, of course, don't forget, he's trying to bag as many points as he can for the Gold Championship as well. He's 29 points behind Colin Ward, the Gold Class leader going into this race, and he wants to bag as many of them as possible before he has to take that 10-place grid penalty in the sprint race as well. Just breaking up a little bit there, the gaps between these cars, but look who's at the back of this train. Kyle Power, probably one of the smartest racers we know and we have in this championship, although he's dropped behind his nephew Luke back down into 7th place. But let's rejoin the battle for 2nd place because Philpott is back in that slipstream down towards turn 1. Jonesmore and Williams side by side behind them as well. And look at Gomez on the outside there, but Philpott with the inside line has been able to take the place, and he's up into 2nd place. Now, can Gomez come back at him down the Retroposta? Gomez certainly isn't going to give this one up without a fight, and absolute millimeters separating them round the corner. Unbelievable stuff. Racing quality has certainly not dropped in the finale, and Gomez trying to get around the outside. He ran wide here a lap ago. Now he won't be able to keep that place. He'll have to give it back to Philpott, I think. Still there side by side. He's not showing any signs of yielding the position, and Gomez retakes 2nd place. But Chris, I think he's gonna. I think that's going to be protestable.
Absolutely, he's going to have to give that position back. He was well off the circuit there. And it was set up beautifully down the start-finish straight by Brad, who did a wonderful little switchback dummy move there, getting himself to the inside. But in the end, it hasn't paid off for him. Let's see if he can do the same thing again this time around.
And behind them, it's worth pointing out that Luke Powers jumped up a few places there. He and Alex Jonesma have got past Stephen Williams. So the man 3rd in the championship now line astern with the championship leader in 6th and 7th. On board with Luke Power, trying to get past Alex Jonesma for 4th place here. Luke Power has been an absolute joy to watch, and look at the overspeed there. Now he's going for the Silver Class Championship as well. Don't forget, this is his first full season in the championship, and Joshua stands his ground down into turn one, and look at the title contenders behind them side by side as well. Power and Williams. Power comes out on top in that particular battle, so more crucial points for Kyle Power. He's on damage limitation mode now because Danny is leading this race, and look at Luke Power and Dronsma side by side once again down the Retroposter, all going on for fourth place, getting very, very close into the braking zone, but Luke Power, the young teenage racer, comes out on top.
I think if they got any closer, they would be definitely trading paint on their wheel arches. They're very, very close. And Luke Power, fantastic racing all season. Behind him, we've got to watch out for Tim Ellis putting some pressure in 8th position on Stephen Williams, the title contender as well, because every time that those two get close, it's always fireworks.
Absolutely, not just on iRacing, but of course on the kart track as well. These two have met each other on the circuit in the past. I love this just fantastic train of cars being led by the black car with the yellow trim on it. That is Luke Power, the nephew of Kyle, in his first full season in this championship, and providing brilliant action all season long. Has won races, of course, as well. And look, side by side once again with Dronsma coming back at him with the slipstream. He's got the title line through this, and Philpott has dived for the pits. Philpott has dived for the pit lane at the end of lap 5. Now that is interesting, as Dronsma retakes that fourth place spot, but gets very hot into the corner, locks up, and Power takes it straight back again. And here comes Kyle Power as well. He's got the momentum on the outside. Is this a bit of gamesmanship here between the two Powers? Are they working together to help try and get Kyle through the pack? Now, Kyle is one of the best wheel-to-wheel racers in this field. Is he going to be able to look up the inside of Dronsma here? Dronsma's still trying to get the place back from Luke Power as well. Runs a little bit wide, but there's no way through there. I'll tell you who's joined the back of this pack as well as Taro Tylus as well. So every time we think somebody's getting through, they're just backing each other up more and more. So Power's still trying to find a way through. Here comes Stephen Williams looking on the outside. A little touch there, a very slight nudge indeed. And that's just checked up Williams a little bit and gives Ellis a run around the outside. We see from the rear view of Kyle Power there, still there side by side. Williams doesn't want to lose any more places, and he's had to yield that one. So Ellis goes through. He's into 6th place now, but Power still trying to find a way through on Dronsma and his nephew. But Chris, yeah, Philpott going for the pit lane very early indeed.
Very early. It'll be interesting to see if any of the others ahead or behind or ahead of him choose to duck into the pits, as Luke Power is once again being hassled, absolutely hounded by Drillsman as they come down start finish straight. That is a very, very early pit stop, Chris. Do you think that's a mistake from Brad, who's maybe not had the same experience in this series that we've got, and he's not run the whole season, and these guys know what they're doing now? Do you think Brad has made a bit of a tactical error?
Well, we will see, won't we? But of course, he doesn't want to spend all that time scrapping with Gomez, and as we're seeing here, the scrapping is really costing you a lot of time as Kyle Power gets past Alex Dronsma there and moves up into 4th place, and Dronsma running a little bit wide on the exit of that corner, and that allows Tim Ellis to come through as well. And he draws clear by the time they get into Ferragura, so Ellis up to 5th place now, and now it's the two Powers line astern. The Power family very much a fan of watching these streams, and they'll be loving seeing their two contenders fighting for position. Now, is there going to be we would normally call it team orders, but is it going to be family orders between these two?
Quite possibly, Chris. I don't think Luke is one to give up easily, but he is now on the podium, as you said, as Brad has gone into the pits. Brad came out in 12th position and into a very, very clear track, so he is going to be absolutely lighting it up. We'll look at the timing screens and see if he can put in some good times. But here goes Kyle Power down the start straight. He's not going to be close enough this time around to get Luke, as far as I can see. Who was that ducked into the pits?
That was Dronsma. So Dronsma in the sort of red and black chrome car that has dived for the pit lane. Now, he's done the early stop before and made it really work, because as we're seeing here, this lot scrapping and taking time away from each other, he was able to get into the pits early and do some very clean lap times, and was able to jump a lot of the drivers in previous races as well. And it looks like he's going for the same strategy again here. Then we just got a flash of Philpott there in 11th place. He's made his stop early, but this is the battle that we want to be watching. It's Luke Power in 3rd place at the moment. Top 2 stretching clear. Henny leads by 2.5 seconds. Another 4 seconds to this battle for 3rd place.
It's quite a quick pit lane here, as you can see them barreling down the start-finish straight and then just peeling off and slamming on the brakes, trying to not lock up and get a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So actually, you know, it's not a bad idea to pit in this situation, and we'll see whether that pays off for them.
As it stands, the points gap between Danny Henny and Carl Power would drop to just 5 points. But of course, we are in the middle of the pit stop window, and Carl is yet to take his. So we will keep an eye on that as it goes. But of course, it's 60 points for the feature race win, and 36 for the sprint races as well, because they're a shorter distance, and we have the reverse grid element to it as well. But I wonder here, Chris, if Carl's just hoping that Luke will sort of drag him along a little bit and up his pace, because they're definitely they're pulling away from Stephen Williams, but they're not quite able to check off Tim Ellis there in 5th.
I was saying that Tim Ellis is a bit of a hot shoe in that car, and he's won a lot of races before in our championship, so we'll see if he's going to provide any threat to Kyle, because it does look like he's getting awfully close through this middle section of the lap.
Certainly is. Tim Ellis in that blue and yellow number 4 car has won multiple races in this championship in the past. Not been the season for him this year. It seems like the level of competition just increases every single year, and we see some of the drivers who were top contenders in previous seasons start to fall down the order a little bit, but I would never ever think to count out Tim Ellis in particularly in a wheel-to-wheel situation as well.
Now, interestingly, Chris, I've got here logged that Bradley Philpott took 18.7 seconds in the pit lane. Do you know how far he is behind Danny Henny? He's about 18.
Is it something in the region of 18 seconds?
He's 18.8 seconds behind right now, so it seems to be working quite nicely for him so far. So could he, when this all shakes out, be jumping to the front of the field?
Well, I think we would have assumed that it was just trying to get ahead of Gregoire, but if he keeps going on like this, then he'll be challenging for the lead. And I think if Danny sees Philpott challenging for the lead, he will probably jump out of the way. This battle for 3rd place hotting up. Luke Power here coming under big pressure from Kyle, and Kyle's looking towards the inside here, down into Desquito de Largo, and Power moves up into 3rd place. That's crucial points for him, so that would mean that the deficit in the championship will be 8 points to Danny Henny if things were to finish as they are now. But we'll keep updating you as we go along. We're on lap 10 of 18. Danny Henny leads. He's 2nd in the championship and trying to close up on the man we were just watching, Kyle Power. Now, Chris, we're coming up to that point where they were saying the tyres are pretty cooked at this point in the race, so will they be taking this opportunity to try and get them into the pit lane and cool them off a little bit? Here's the race leader. He's coming up to the pit entry now, so we'll see if he decides to tuck left and go for it. He was saying he's been cooking his tyres probably more than most. And it looks like Henny... No, I thought for a second he was going for the pit lane, but he is not, nor is Gomez. So extending that window a little bit. Nobody else in the background seeming to be going for it either. I think because they've realised that they need to be getting the laps in, because the guys who have pitted behind them are able to put the lap times in. And Philpott lapping very well. He's matching Henny's pace at the moment. Last time round it was a 27.1 and a 27.2 for Philpott last time around. Now Kyle here is coming back under pressure from his nephew, so maybe the family orders haven't been imposed just yet, but of course Luke is bringing Ellis and Williams with him.
Absolutely. I'm not sure he was making an effort to pass, but more just, come on, Kyle, let's get going, because the two behind are breathing down my neck. So you got to get on with it. And we know that Luke's got a lot of pace. We're going to see if he can keep the two behind him and protect Kyle.
Another element we have to consider here is the incident points. There is a 12 incident point limit for each race, after which point you will be given a drive-through penalty. And Gregoire Gomez currently has 7 of them, and don't forget, he lost the feature race win at Spa because he exceeded the incident point limit. So we will definitely keep an eye on that. With 7 laps to go at the end of this one, Henny leads by 2.5 seconds. Gomez is matching his pace as well, actually, now in second place. But still, neither of them going for the pit lane, and now they're rounding up a little bit of lap traffic here. Andrew Sexton in the Benson and Hedges car getting well out of the way on the inside. Williams running just a little bit wide there, and that's going to detach him from this battle, but on board with Luke Power here, and he's going to be in the slipstream of his uncle, who is the championship leader. Power, well, Kyle Power going defensive. Guys like trying to commentate on the two Schumachers back in the mid-2000s, but yeah, Kyle, the elder, staying ahead for now.
He is, and he actually put himself under a bit of pressure with a lock-up into turn 1. There was that, the tyres overheating a little bit. He might, with that information, might be looking to duck to the pits this lap, because this is the middle of his pit stop window that he gave us that insight to in the build-up to the race. So could he be ducking into the pits this lap?
We'll keep an eye on it. There's that fantastic aerial view that I absolutely love when we get to see the cars. Really shows off the power of the slipstream around a lot of these tracks, and particularly with this car that has just provided so much amazing action over the last 3 seasons. So glad that we decided to keep it on for another season. But coming down the straight again, and it's Luke Power following in the wheel tracks of Kyle. Now, are they going to pit this time around? Still no sign of anyone coming into the pits. Luke kind of ducking and weaving a little bit there behind Kyle. No sign of an attempt of a move just yet.
We'll see if he means it this time, because he's definitely close enough. You can see he's shielding his nose a bit. Kyle's going defensive. These two clearly haven't communicated that they're not fighting, but Luke seemingly didn't blend it out the throttle a bit, but that's put him under a lot of pressure from behind from Ellis.
Yeah, Kyle was able to kind of retake the racing line there. Of course, what they don't want to do is scrap and lose each other time and lose out to, you know, like Drillsma, for example, who has taken his stop and is going to be running the good lap times, and is running in pretty clean air at the moment as well. And this could be absolutely crucial. This could decide a place on the podium here if they're not careful.
I can give you an update on Brad Philpott, who is currently in 10th place and now 18.5 seconds behind. So assuming that Danny gets a good pit stop, he might even still come out behind there. And this is watching Bradley now going through the middle sector of the circuit here.
Yeah, the stationary times are going to be the stationary times are going to be crucial, because Bradley was really trying to work out what's the minimum amount of fuel I need to put in for the stop. He doesn't want to be losing any more time than he has to. And Kyle Power has now come into the pits, as has Tim Ellis. The top two have carried on, but Kyle Power from 3rd place into the pit lane. And Tim Ellis in that blue and yellow car.
Sorry, Chris, I was just saying there was huge puffs of smoke from the double front lock up there from Kyle. He was really pushing the limits of what he could do on the entry to the pit. That was a good pit stop time there. And now he's got to really throw it down the hill as he has to go past one of the stationary cars in the pit exit.
A 4.1 second stationary time. That is that's competitive. It's only 0.2 slower than Philpott, and he's come out in some relatively clean air. He's got 1.6 seconds to Jose O'Donnell ahead of him.
He has, but he's crucially 4 seconds behind Philpott, so that gap did increase a little bit during that pit stop window. So Philpott looking good.
Well, yeah, Philpott came in from 3rd place, didn't he? He was on the back of Gregoire Gomez. So really, it's Gomez and Henny we need to be watching. And I think if Power can hold on to any place, it will be a top 4. Crucially, he's ahead of Drillsma by about 3 seconds. So that early stop not quite working the way Drillsma was aiming for. Drillsma in 12th place at the moment. Now, do the top 2 come in this time around? No, they do not. They are absolutely pushing it. Lap 15 now. In comes Luke Power now from 3rd place. Now, I'm told lap 15 was the absolute limit of the fuel mileage here.
That means they're all going to be ducking to the pits this time around because, as you say, and that's gone a little bit sideways there. Felipe Harry's overshot his marks.
That is the first time we've seen, from one of the front runners at least, a problem in the stop. That could be a very costly error there for Luke Power, who, don't forget, is trying to wrap up the Silver Class title. I don't think he'll do it this race because Tara Tilis and Alex Smith have been very fast. Now he's going to be side by side with Josma here if he's not careful. He's come out behind Ellis, and Josma ducking and weaving, trying to find a way through on the inside, and very nearly contact there as Power came across the nose of Josma in that chrome black and red car. But they both survive, and crucially, Power is ahead of Josma. So that early stop really not worked the way he would have wanted it to.
Absolutely, that was such a costly mistake there for Luke because he's come out a good 4 or 5 seconds behind Kyle. You can't even see him in the same shot anymore. You just see Ellis flashing through the screen ahead. Josma putting him under a lot of pressure.
Race leader into the pits, top 2 into the pits. So Danny Henny, and we said lap 15, it must have been it. So Danny Henny, race leader into the pits. Stephen Williams in as well. And here is the man hoping to take the lead of the championship by the end of the night. He was 19 points behind going into this one. A very good stationary time indeed, 3.7 seconds. So minimum amount of fuel going in. Now, where is Phil Pott in the picture?
He's just coming through the second corner, Chris. So you'll just see him flash at the top of the screen. So Henny does retain the lead, coming out ahead of a couple of scrapping cars. There is Phil Pott in the background, that bright green car just coming out the first one. So in fact, Phil Pott didn't get Gomez either, so he remains a net third.
Yeah, so maybe we're looking at more like a 15-second loss for the pit stop there. So not sure if Phil Pott had a bit of a slow stop on the way in or the way out maybe, but crucially, Danny Henny retains the net lead. Taro Tilis currently leading, but yet to take his stop. So it's Henny with the net lead, Gomez in second, Phil Pott in third, and Kyle Power up in a net 4th place there, ahead of Stephen Williams. So that is pretty much, I think that's as good as it's going to get for Kyle Power, and that is damage limitation for him, absolutely.
Now, I know the air is thin because the track is a little bit higher up, but Taro Tilis' car is going to be gasping towards the pit lane. Surely he has to bring it into the pits this time around, or he's going to be pushing his car down the hill. Here he comes indeed.
Yes, he
into
does.
The pits.
He left. It's really hard to tell when someone's going to come in. I almost think they're going to duck back out of the lane again. I almost had to hold my breath there, and I wonder if he was going to take it down to the penultimate lap. But 2 laps to go, and Danny Henny leads by 3 seconds now, and this would make quite the dent in Kyle Power's championship lead. As it stands, he would reduce the arrears to just 4 points.
That would set up a very tasty couple of last races, wouldn't it, Chris? 4 points.
Certainly would. Now, let's look at Stephen Williams there in 5th place because he's the man third in the championship, and he's coming under big pressure from Tim Ellis in that blue and yellow number 4 car. Now, Stephen Williams admitted he was the outside favourite for this race. And at the moment, he'll be losing points to both Kyle and Danny and slipping further away. It's amazing, Chris. It's 2nd year in a row, and it looks like we're going to have another complete showdown between Kyle and Danny.
It's what we love to see around here at Missed Apex Podcast and our Motorsport channel. It's been a fantastic season of racing, most of all very clean and such high quality driving from all of the drivers. They've had a lot of seasons experience now, and they all know each other intimately, and 2 that do know each other very well are Tim Ellis, who is hounding down Stephen Williams. He's in the slipstream down the start-finish straight, just behind Kyle Power. There they go. And is that the white flag coming out, Chris?
Yep, white flag is out, so we're on the final lap of the race now. Danny Henny seems to have this one in the bag, but for 5th place, the battle is still not decided because Stephen Williams in that pink car coming under big pressure from Tim Ellis. Probably only a couple of opportunities left to make the pass here for Ellis. Down the retroposter we go for one last time in this feature race. And Williams moves towards the inside. Very aggressive defense from the man with multiple karting successes, and Ellis trying to go right round the outside, and Ellis will just feed him into the runoff area there, and he survives for another corner. Around Ferragero for the last time. Williams hanging on. Surely Ellis is really his last opportunity. Maybe a desperate lunge into Pico de Pato, or to slipstream him to the line, see if he can beat him to the checkered flag. There won't be a lunge into Pico de Pato, that's for sure. Not close enough. We'll see. But Danny Henny out of the final corner at Zhengzhou. Now, there was big pressure on this man coming into the finale for the first time, not leading the championship, but he has done exactly what he needed to do, and he will bag a massive 60 points with his 4th feature race win of the season. Gregoire Gomez comes home in 2nd place and bags a lot of points for his gold championship hopes, and Bradley Philpott, the wildcard, taking 3rd place, with Kyle Power in 4th. Damage limitation for the championship leader. Stephen Williams did beat Tim Ellis to the line there by about half a second in the end. And amazingly, that very late stop from Tero Tylers gave him the silver class win. So we were keeping an eye on Luke Power that whole race, and he's actually beaten Luke to the class win in 7th place overall. So cracking stuff from Tero Tylers there. Luke Power in 8th, and Dronsma in 9th, and Colin Ward, the gold class leader, in 10th place. There's confirmation of the results. So Danny Henny will reduce the championship lead to just 4 points ahead of the 2 reverse grid sprint races, and Gregor Gomez taking a big chunk out of Colin Ward's lead there, with 2nd place overall and 10th place for Colin Ward. Alex Smith there in 11th place, Daniel Cook 12th, Alex Van Gien in 13th, Jose O'Donnell, Matt Cook is the top 15. And then of course we're getting into the drivers who will be leading the way in the reverse grid race, and it'll be Matt Trumpets on pole position ahead of Lucas Raskovitz. Richard Spanazretti will be starting in 4th place as well. Now that's a very tasty grid indeed. Chris, have you been able to find our race winner? I'll assume he's looking for Danny Henny there, and we'll try and get a word with Danny before the race is up.
Apologies, Chris. I do have Danny Henny in the booth with us, and Danny, that was quite an interesting race there for you. Made it count on the first lap in the first corner. How did that look from your point of view?
Yeah, I was pretty desperate, if I'm honest. I had a go at Greg in the practice races and that didn't come off, but tonight I thought I've got to get a bit deeper into the braking zone so he can't cut back across me, and then just try and brake. But yeah, it was stressful to say the least.
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure there with a very, very close battle, but then it strung out a little bit through the race. But there was some interesting tactics in the pit stops, with Brad ducking to the pits on lap 5, I think it was, very, very early compared to the rest of you. But it ended up in the end all right for you coming in later in the race.
Yeah, I noticed Brad peel off. I thought he'd spun, to be honest, to start with, but then I could see his pace on the relative while we were going, so I knew he was trying something different. But yeah, it was really interesting. The tyres, I'd cooked mine by lap 10. I was really, really struggling. I was just happy that I was only losing a 10th or 2 here and there to Greg. But yeah, it was good. Seeing Kyle coming 4th as well. I love Kyle to bits, but he's so frustrating. He always gets where he needs to go. But yeah, see what the next race brings.
Absolutely, and that does give you only a very, very narrow points margin between the two of you coming into the next 2 races. Both of you starting mid-pack. We'll see how well you can battle through the field.
Yeah, fingers crossed we both survive. It'll be really disappointing if we get took out, and any of us, to be fair, me, Kyle or Stephen. So hopefully we all survive lap 1, and then it'd be nice to have a battle. I never get to battle Kyle wheel to wheel on track, so it'd be nice to get to have a bit of a battle together, and yeah, hopefully it's a good race.
Absolutely, here's hoping. Thank you very much, Danny. We'll see you for race 2.
Cheers, guys.
Well, Danny Henny doing exactly what he needed to do in that feature race. We're going to take a very short break, but don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back with race 2, the first of the top 20 reverse grid sprints.